Hey y'all, what's up? It's your favorite lawyer. Okay, in the hot pink robe, and I'm ready to rule. Okay? So, what you guys always do is send me your questions, okay, your comments and your concerns or whatever, and we discuss it, okay? We just talk about it. We talk about it in a playful manner. We talk about it with glee. You're not going to get any bad juju, no bad vibe from me. I feel like, guys, no matter what's going on in your life, it's always a bright side to it, and we can fix it and figure it out. So let's do that together. Okay. Next case. Let's get into this email, and we're going to look at some criminal cases for this show. Solely criminal cases for this show. Legal question. What is the punishment after being on a blue warrant and getting 3 new charges? My husband is charged with evading arrest, family violence, and he was already out on a blue warrant. What's next? What'll happen to him? Guys, order in this court. The fact that this gentleman was out on a blue warrant is absolutely good. People, most of the time when they get blue warrants, they don't get out of jail. A blue warrant is a warrant where somebody is on parole. They are accused of violating parole, and parole puts a warrant out for them. Blue warrants can not only be lifted by the state that you're in, by the parole board, and that is done after a series of hearings in your matter. The hearings are there to determine whether or not you violated a condition or conditions of your parole. Then, when it's sent to the head people in charge, they are then there to discern and determine what is going to happen to you. Whether they're going to reincarcerate you, whether they're going to put you in some sort of, it's like a little slap on the wrist facility for 6 weeks. We call it ISF. Whether or not they're going to add terms and conditions or adjust terms and conditions to your parole, or whether or not they're simply going to let you go home after re-verifying where you live and re-verifying all of your home information. The fact that he was out on a blue warrant lets me know one of two things. He either was violated for something that is very small, or he was violated very close to the end of his parole. Now, you guys, I've already taught you that it does not matter whether you are on parole or getting ready to get off and you run afterwards. If something happens while you're on, before those papers are in your hand and you're not off parole, the parole board is going to deal with you. So somehow they decided to release this gentleman on a blue warrant. And I have a few clients that are out on blue warrants. It's rare that it happens, but I do have a few clients that are out on blue warrants. This gentleman picked up 2 cases. He picked up an evading arrest and a family violence. She's trying to figure out, this wife is trying to figure out what's going to happen to him. What do I have to look forward to? What's getting ready to go down? There are a few things that could possibly happen to him. He could possibly be rearrested on that blue warrant and not allowed to be out pending the evading arrest, family violence, and pending the dissolution of the blue warrant, meaning pending them figuring out what they're going to do with him. Okay? Or they may or may not trigger another blue warrant. Most of the time, it is triggered. But sometimes people slip through. You never know. It's a very high likelihood that he could possibly be put back in jail for some time and then get back out on the blue warrant. Or it's possible that he may have to remain in jail while these new charges are pending. No matter what, he'll be okay. Okay? This is not his first rodeo. I don't know whether this evading arrest is a felony or a misdemeanor, and the family violence is a felony or a misdemeanor. However, these can possibly be misdemeanors. And parole, when you're on parole, you've been accused of a felony before. And misdemeanors are not that big of a deal. That could be another reason why this gentleman was out on that blue warrant, because it could have been a small misdemeanor that was holding him. And it didn't antiquate to something that they felt he needed to be jailed or put in jail for. Another thing is, some people are on parole for almost the rest of their natural lives because they've gotten 20 and 30-year sentences. And so the parole board works with them. You have to understand, being watched underneath a microscope for 20 or 30 years, you might mess up again. And they understand that. They don't give you leeway per se, but what they do is they do realize that they've been watching you for a long time, and they look at what you've done. Okay? So, ma'am, those are some of the things that could happen. I don't know what's going to happen. You know, I can't tell you what's going to happen, but there's a slight chance he may go back to jail. But all you do is just you always get a bond company. Okay? You get a lawyer, and you figure out what's going on with this warrant. We always want to get on top of warrants. Okay? For the very reason that I just spoke about a second ago. Okay? They're running charges when you're riding cars. You get caught up, and you always want to make sure you're on top of something, and you're not going to jail on a warrant while you're on your way to court. While you're on your way to work, on your way to the babysitter, you got your child, now they calling CPS. You always want to be on top of stuff. You don't let stuff be on top of you. Okay? So just be wary. Be wary and stay on top of it. Don't allow him to put that in the back of his mind, because he might even forget. Okay? So that's what we're going to say for that. Next case. If I pay my warrant off in person, will they arrest me? I got arrested in 2019 for false report to an officer and did my time. But I did not go to court, so now I have a warrant. I called and was told to pay $250 in person and that I will not go to jail, that they would reset my court date. I just want to make sure I'm not being tricked. I'm 7 months pregnant, a single mother to a 2-year-old. I can't afford to go back to jail. Please inform me on how to handle this. Or can I mail it? Girl. That's a good question. And the fact that you're 7 months and being on top of things, I like that. At least you know that you have a warrant, okay, and you're trying to figure out, and you're trying to find a way to fix it. Okay? Guys, what happened was in 2019, y'all already know 2020, bloop, Corona came. They've been behind on a lot of stuff, but they're getting caught up now. So a lot of people who are owing for fines and fees connected to their cases, etc., hey, they looking for you. And they're able to find you now because people were displaced during Corona, but now they're settling down. Okay, so it's ways for people to find you when you move. And so that's what they're doing. Okay, I don't understand. You said you did your time, but you did not go to court. What I'm thinking is that if you say you did your time, it's fines and fees. No, they will not arrest you for fines and fees. Okay, they won't arrest you. Then you have to pay the money in person, and a lot of times you gotta send it in or pay it in person, and they will not arrest you if it's just strictly fines. If you still have that open case and you've been missing since 2019 on that open case, honey, you got a warrant out for that, and you need to make sure that you have an attorney or a bonds company there to meet your bond so that you do not go to jail. So you need to figure out exactly what that arrest warrant is for. Is it for a case going incognito and not showing up at court ever? Or is it just for some old fines and fees that were attached to a case that the case is over with, but you ain't finished your fines and fees? If it's just fines and fees, girl, just go pay them. They ain't going to do nothing to you. If you done miss days at court, you want to be on top of that. Make sure you have a bonding company, okay? Because that's just kind of what happens. Okay? They're telling you that they'll just reset your court date. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. They possibly can. Is it 100% chance that that's what's going to happen? No. If you miss court, you probably need to go into the judge with a bonding company and or a lawyer and try to get that worked out. Okay? Or if you already have a warrant and a bond out attached to that warrant, go ahead and make that bond. Next case. What does it mean when I see eligibility parole date not available? I'm trying to find out my son's parole date. That's exactly what it means. This is a question from the state of Texas. People, you always can get online, TDCJ offender, put in the person's name, SID number, TDCJ number, date of birth, etc. And it'll tell you when that person comes up for parole. For whatever reason, her son, it has no parole eligibility date. That could be for many reasons. One of the reasons could be because he was just incarcerated. If a person is just incarcerated, they will not have an eligibility parole date until they're locked all the way in the system and funneled through TDCJ. That normally happens after they use leave, holiday holiday unit, which is the transfer unit, and get seated to their home jail. At that point, then the everything catches up. Because you guys got to understand, the judgment and sentences are sent along with the body to jail. Because when the person goes to jail, of course, the clerks have to enter in the judgment and why that person is being incarcerated. TDCJ gets notice of that, and then they go to the county jails and pick the person up. So prisons come and pick up people from the county jails, okay? All of this is an informational thing that's done introspectively within the system. And it's done electronically. So you always got to give stuff time to catch up. If the eligibility parole date is not available, it can be because the time is still being antiquated or a person is being put into the system. If they've been there for a while and there is no eligibility parole date available, you need to contact the Texas Board of Pardons and Paroles. They always answer the phone. They're always available to help. And you need to figure out exactly why that parole date is not eligible. Parole date is not there. But if the person just got in, give it some time before you just start, looking. Okay? Is there a certain time frame that a grand jury has to indict you? My brother is charged with capital murder, and when the judge found no probable cause, the next day, the grand jury indicted him. Also, he never went to probable cause court. Should he have been indicted in 90 days in Texas? There is a 90-day rule, and cases should pretty much be indicted within 90 days. Because what it does is it proves that there's a delay in justice. People are not supposed to hold your body or hold your person without a good just cause to do so. And an indictment basically shows the court that they have a right to have you in prison. Or strike that, in county jail. So it answers as to why you're there. Your attorney can always file motions to dismiss claims, etc., when a case is not indicted. And they can utilize things of that nature to get you off of the charge if people are just holding you and the charge and the evidence has not been developed. Because sometimes that's what happens. Cops pick people up before the case has been developed, and when the prosecutor gets it, it isn't enough for them to make their case, so they kind of sit around and try to fumble and figure out how they can put evidence together or get additional evidence to then run an indictment against you. Again, attorneys can file cases against people, against the prosecutors, file motions, and tell the judge that they have no reason to have you there, and that the case hasn't been indicted because they don't have the proper evidence. And you might walk up out of there. It's happened a few times, in my day. I've gotten it taken care of for clients that way. It doesn't always happen that way. Sometimes the state of Texas is just moving slow. And when you go ahead and file those motions, then they run and get you indicted. So that probably is what happened in this case. You say that the judge found no probable cause. If a judge finds no probable cause, then more than likely you're released. And the charges are dropped. So I'm not understanding how the person was still there in jail for the grand jury to indict. But it can happen. If a judge finds no PC sometimes and they move to dismiss the case, it doesn't absolve the DA from ever bringing that case back with the proper evidence behind it. A case is alive until the statute of limitations runs out. Because that was a capital murder charge, that's probably more than likely what happened. And that's probably why he's incarcerated. So yes, you probably should challenge the indictment or the fact that he's not indicted if he isn't, especially on a serious offense such as this. But you definitely need to make sure that you have your lawyer doing that for you, okay? That's something that's just hard for a natural person to understand and handle. It's hard for some lawyers to handle. Capital murder cases are nothing to play with. You always make sure you have your lawyer doing all that stuff for you. Okay, next case. How do I make sure a Class C misdemeanor for alcohol consumption in public does not appear on my record? I was with some friends grilling and having a few beers at a state park. We were approached by a state trooper and issued a Class C misdemeanor for drinking in public. No one was intoxicated, so this alcohol consumption was only a citation. How do I go about ensuring this does not show up on my record? I currently have a clean record. Also, how do I answer the citation? Should I plead guilty, not guilty, or no contest? Baby, you should hire a lawyer if you're trying to do all this. Okay? You need to hire a lawyer that is well versed in Class C misdemeanors. Traffic lawyers can handle these cases for you. They do them every day, and they're down there at the city and the county justice of the peace and the municipal courts ready to fight. Okay? Looks like here in Houston there are a few places that'll take care of you, and also criminal attorneys will help you out as well. What you need to do is, if you want to get something off your record, you got to beat it. So if you plead guilty, you can't beat the case. That much I can tell you. So the case has got to be dismissed some kind of way, and then you've got to move to expunge it off your record. That is the way that you get it off. Okay? That's pretty much how it happens. So if you want it not to show up on your record at all, for not even the police, the government, and nobody to see, you've got to beat the case, and then you've got to expunge the matter. Okay? There's something out there that is called what we call a motion for non-disclosure. Okay? That is for people that get on probation. Well, not straight probation, but that get on deferred adjudication and successfully complete. You got to wait a time period and then file for it to be sealed. And the only people that is sealed to are private entities, meaning jobs and stuff. But any public entity that's government sanctioned can pull it up. So if you wanted to not appear, not ever appear, you're going to need to go ahead and get an expunction on that case, which means you are going to have to beat the case. Understand? And guys, a lot of the times, y'all beat cases and you don't even get it off your records. If you beat the case, get the case off your record. Okay? And I'm saying this because, you know how people are and how officers are. If they see that you have been arrested, handled, or what have you, or issued citation, whatever, you tend to be a hot commodity. So make sure that you wipe off cases that you beat. You beat the case, you get the dismissal, you go and get the expunction done. If you get on deferred adjudication for an offense, I don't care if it's a felony or what it is. You wait your time period and you wipe it, baby. Even if you can only wipe it for private entities not to see it. Because it follows you. And then it's used against you. So make sure you wipe whatever you can, okay? Always wipe whatever you can. Wipe what you can. Now, I will say that most of the time, people don't care about Class C misdemeanors. But you care about the fact that it's a drinking in public. So that means you have some sort of job or morality about yourself that it bothers you. So you need to just go ahead and beat that case and expunge it. Always do that, guys. Okay? Always. Let me take one more. I'm getting sentenced to 14 years for enhanced DWI 5th in Texas. Can I get early parole or hire a parole lawyer? First, guys, this is serious. This is not a joke. And a lot of times I'm joking about a lot of stuff and I think stuff is funny and really it's just my way of getting through the day. Because honestly, when you deal with stuff as a lawyer, you see so much. Everything is a bad situation. Shit, everything is messed up. And so the only way that you really are able to, sit up there and live life without having a pill stashed down your throat for anxiety, etc., in my opinion, is to kind of, make jokes out of things. Look at the bright side of even the shittiest situation. Just what you got to do. But guys, I want to say that alcoholism is real. If you need help with alcoholism, please make sure that you join an AA meeting. Get a counselor and a sponsor. Make sure that you let your family know so that they can support you as well. Make sure that you join groups for assistance. There are plenty of nonprofits that are here to help you. Alcoholism is something that does not go away. It lives with you day in and day out, just like a drug addiction. And you constantly got to be working on it. And so whatever happened, this person, they said in 2007, they served 10 years for a DUI in 2007. And unfortunately, they're on their 5th DWI now, and they've just been sentenced to 14 years. That is just sad. And again, I'm not going to fault this person. Alcoholism and drug addiction is real. No, we should not drive a car when, we are, under the influence of substances. But there are people out there with addictions, and they got places to go and things to do, and it's a lapse in judgment. They get behind their wheel, and they end up getting caught. And I will tell you that alcoholism, if you have that, is one of the things. Alcoholism and pill addiction is going to get you caught up. And I'm going to tell you why. Because many of the times, people that are on alcohol and on pills, they function. They function enough. They keep their jobs. They keep their everyday life. If they're parents, they continue to parent with alcohol and DWI or DUI. With alcohol and pills. And it gives them a false sense that because they're able to hold it together, at least to be a functioning alcoholic or a functioning pillhead, that they can drive or they can do other things in life that are a part of functioning. And driving is one that they tend to do, and they end up getting blasted by the police or what have you. Here in Texas, because of the issues that we have with respect to the wall, and I'm not getting into that right now, because I ain't always for no wall, and that's not me. But what happens is, when you have people coming from other countries into our country, of course they're going to get on the road and they're going to drive, okay? They're going to do it. I mean, they driving in Mexico. They driving in Juarez. So why they can't drive here? That's how they think. They got to get in a car and drive. And then, Hispanics are hardworking people. They got places to go to, mainly work a lot of the time. Because very few of them, and I'm not getting into this, and I don't want to hear what nobody got to tell me. Very few of them come over here to rape, mangle, and murder, like they say. A lot of them come over here to work. So they're getting back and forth to work with and without these licenses. And what happens is, when you're from another country, sometimes you don't speak good English or you don't have a driver's license, so then you don't read street signs appropriately. And it causes an increase in car wrecks, honey. It causes an increase in car wrecks, and what happens is the insurance companies lobby for the government to crack down on DWI and driving offenses because they tired of paying the piper when people get hit on getting car wrecks in heavy-duty places like Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, California, Arizona, Florida. They tired of paying. So they will bust down and break down a bad driver or a person that is accused of driving inappropriately. Here comes your DWI cases. That's why there are pretty much loopholes for DWIs, because the people that can afford to pretty much can slip through. It doesn't mean they're not going to get in trouble. That is not what that means. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm telling you. But I'm just saying, it's almost like a sophisticated crime. However, we prosecute it very vigorously. And although it's a misdemeanor, it is one of the heaviest trial charges out there. Most people that get a DUI go to trial on them things because they don't want that on their record. And so because of that, the penalties for those type of things can be great. Not so much for a first time, a second time offender, but very much so after that. And so that's what's happened with this gentleman. It's just the time has caught him, and they're getting worse and worse on what they're doing to him. And they figuring since 11 years in teaching, we're going to go ahead and slap 14 on him this time. Let me get to his question, because this is serious and it's not funny, and I'm being dead serious when I talk to this person. I think you need to hire a parole lawyer. And the reason that I'm going to tell you that is because this is not the first time that you've been arrested for DWI. This is the 5th time that you've been charged with a DWI. And you did 10 years in 2007. And then you're back again in 2021. So what the board is going to argue is that you didn't learn. They're going to try to make you pull a lot of that 14. So I always tell people, parole lawyers are good. You hire them. They can guide you through. And it's never too early to hire a parole lawyer. You can hire a parole lawyer 2 or 3 years before you're coming up for parole. Because a lot of times y'all are not doing, you're not doing the type of things in jail that you need to be doing in order to catch the parole bus. Okay, so you want to get an attorney on it early so that attorney can tell you what you need to be doing while you're in the jail to catch the parole bus, so that when they put together a packet for you, they can put together a good one. And that's what I would suggest that this person do. You're gonna have to seek a parole lawyer, baby. You're gonna have to be in A and AA in jail. You're gonna have to make sure that you have roots in the community so that you don't reoffend. If the parole board believes you're going to reoffend, they're not going to let you catch that train and get up out of there. And that's just what it's going to be. But you can go through, and there are lots of things you can do to give yourself a fighting chance at parole, a quicker parole, so that when you come up, you get out instead of coming up and getting denied, and coming up and getting denied, and coming up and getting denied. One thing that I would tell you that you need to do right now is I would, if I were you, be reaching out to all of these facilities, places, nonprofit organizations that can assist you and that will be pillars for you while you're in jail. Keep ties with these type of places and these type of people. They help steer you in the right direction, and they also can be help for you when it's time for you to get out on parole. They can write letters for you. They may be able to interview with the parole board for you, things of that nature. But you're going to have to gear yourself up, baby, towards not reoffending. You're going to have to change things now and start making a change now before you go in on that 14 years. Continuing your change, sweetheart. And then a parole lawyer will be able to help you out and do something for you. Okay? I just want to say that. And I'm happy to actually end my show on that question, because there are many people who need help out here, and nobody perfect, and everybody has their vice. So we're not going to talk down on somebody because that's what they're doing, but I'm going to let you know that we just got to make a change. Parole board has to see a change, and the parole board is not your family members, it's not your mother, it's not that. So don't think that the things that you've done in the past or that work on your family members are going to work on them, because this is all they do. They see and they hear cases of people reoffending and decide what to do with them, or people offending and decide whether they're going to let them out. So trying to pull on their emotions and tug on their heartstrings is not going to really work as much as plain old showing them that you're not going to reoffend and putting all the rails and the guardrails up in place to show that you're trying not to reoffend, and you won't reoffend because you have support. And whatever you were doing when you were out before, sweetheart, or wherever you were living, I don't know if that's the best place for you to be, because you reoffended there. I don't know if you're on your own, you're single, or your wife, or if you're a man or a woman or what, but honey, you're reoffended. Underneath those conditions need to change, baby. Because if those conditions were good enough, you wouldn't have reoffended. Something's going to have to change with your home life. And that can come through joining these groups and making a change for the better. Doing NA and AA all the time. I have family members that go every day. They haven't picked up drinks in 20 or 30 years, but they're going to go every day. They're going to go every other day. They're going to go twice a week or whatever. And that may be something that you just have to do. Okay? So y'all have a fantastic day. Okay? If you have any questions, feel free to email me, booker@bookerlawfirm.com. Okay? Please give me a call, 713-292-2225. Make sure you add me on Instagram, she_ya_lawyer. I'm on Twitter, Allie B. Okay? Beey. Okay? I'm on Facebook, Allie Booker. Add me. Alright? And you can also check me out on the African Diaspora Network. Y'all have a fantastic day, okay? And just remember, whatever you're going through, it ain't that bad, okay? Order. It ain't that bad. It's going to be something you can do to pull yourself out. It's never too bad. Bye.